6.125 times 4.5 equals 27 and 5/8. 27 and 5/8. Uh, 27 and 5/8. Right about there. Hey, hello friends. Thank you for joining me today. I am back in my garage, my messy garage. You can ask me if I like messy garages. The answer is no. But the rest of my extended family doesn't always agree with me because they like to mess up my garage. Anyway, delighted to be here with you guys today. Let's get legal. So this is, I can hardly reach you. This is Daily Art Adventure number 547, stage 2, on a really big painting on Valentine's Day. Hey, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Hope you're having a great day. I hope you know that you're loved by somebody, preferably by a whole bunch of somebodies. Okay, so I'm doing a painting that is 7 feet 5 inches tall. With this painting, I discovered quite by accident that this particular easel, the tallest painting it can possibly handle, is 7 feet 5 inches. And that was an accident. If this canvas were 1 inch taller, it'd be all over. And this only works where there's no wind. There's no way that I could do this if I were out in the wind. So that's good to know. 7.5 inches is the limit here. I could come back in here with a bunch of clamps and get a little more stability, but it's okay. And it's 45 inches wide. And I've been working on it for just a few minutes today. You might be able to see some of my pencil marks. Here, see that? And here, I'm calling it pencil. Hey, George Sardis, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So I am officially 65 years old and 1 day today. Glad to have made it this far. So now that's over with, I can forget all about it. So let me tell you what I'm doing. I have a really fine sketch that I'm working from. So here it is. Again, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. This is painted on aluminum. I just painted on aluminum for fun. Plus the added benefit of it's real easy to cut aluminum. So I had this canvas stretched already, and then reverse engineering, if you will, I cut this aluminum to the exact ratio. Yeah, Thinker 888, exactly. That's what I'm saying. How did that happen? Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know, you're young, you get married, you have kids, you raise your kids, kids move out, you're old. It happens just that fast. Wow. And for you regulars, I am thinking, now only time will tell. I'm pretty excited about this though. I might actually be right in this moment, this week, today, on this painting, at the second, maybe the most significant turning point in my artistic career. That's pretty big. We just lost sound for some reason. You guys still there? Whoops. Are you there? Okay, I think we're okay. Do I like painting on aluminum? It's an adventure. Now, I took this to my painters group the other night, and they loved it. The fun of it to me is the iridescence that happens when you let quite a bit of the shiny of the aluminum show through. Okay, so I was saying this might be a turning point. At the risk of either repeating myself or boring you to tears, but I'll let you look in on the career of a full-time artist. When I started full-time fine arts painting. That is, I got out of illustration and decided to go into fine arts. That means as an illustrator, you get paid for your work. As a fine artist, you don't get paid. You might get paid. 15 years ago, I made a very conscious decision. I remember, I don't know where I was, but I clearly remember thinking very objectively. If I paint really, really fast, which has turned out to be somewhere between 100 and 150 paintings a year, but roughly 300 to 400 pieces of art per year. So more than one piece of art per day. Keep that in mind. I asked myself 15 years ago, if I paint like a man on fire, if I paint like just go, 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 I said at the end of 15 or 20 years, which will make me the better artist? If I do that or if I paint masterpieces? Okay, that's what I asked myself. And I decided 20 years ago that it was A, paint fast, paint a whole bunch. And in the back of my mind then for the last 15 years, I've been thinking, you know, there might be a shift coming someday. And honestly, this surprised me. Okay, tell you what, you guys, my wife is calling me. I don't interrupt for anybody else, but I have to interrupt for her. So hang on just a second. I'll be back in. All right, thank you. Sorry about that. As I said, that's my phone is set up so that nobody else's phone calls come through when I'm broadcasting, except of course hers. So thank you for that. So I was talking about a shift for the last 15 years. You know, I've been painting basically 6, 7, rarely 8 hours per painting. And I've always wondered if I was going to shift. And all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's been like, whoa, maybe that time is here. Whether it is or not, I'm really excited about it right now. So I'm going to keep taking steps in this direction. So here's 2 changes I'm making, maybe, in my career. We're going to find out, you and I will find out together in weeks and months to come, if it's just a blip on the screen, if it's a real shift. If it is a shift, here's the difference. Number one, I'm going to paint bigger. Why? That's just because that's what I want to do. And I use my code language. I have sensed the cosmos telling me for months and months and months, just paint what you want, paint what you want. In fact, I had a personal email exchange with a OPA master, Oil Painters American master, that long story, I had a personal connection with him, and I sent him my stuff, and I said, got any suggestions? And he said, no, you're doing great. He just said, one thing he said, it was kind of funny because that's what the cosmos has been telling me. He said, paint what you're passionate about, paint what you want. And frankly, I love the subject matter I paint. The only difference is I want to paint big. I'm tired of painting stuff this big, you know? So here we go. So that's it. Then the other thing is I'm not painting like a bat out of hell. I don't have to finish this painting in 10 hours. In fact, 20, 25 hours, fine with me. Now, here's what you need to understand, that I'm not going to change my painting style. That doesn't mean I'm going to get tight and realistic and get out the small brushes and start tongue painting. No. I love my style. I mean, it's always growing, so I don't love it. I don't love it so much, and I'm not willing to change. But I'm not going to start painting like somebody else. Anyway, so here we are, doing a big painting, and here's one of the differences that makes. I have a sketch here. This is the third one that I did, by the way. First I did a no-tan, then I did a gouache color sketch, and you can see me do that a couple weeks ago, and then I did this on aluminum. I like a lot of things that are happening, and I shared this with my painters group the other night and got strong affirmation that it's going in a good direction. So what that means is, unlike the way I would normally paint in the last 20 years, 15 years, which I would just break out the big brushes and start throwing paint around, I'm going to take advantage of all the decisions I've already made on that sketch. Make sense? Because I have time. I'm not saying to myself, I better finish this painting. Nope, don't have to finish this today. So for the last several minutes, before you join me, I come over here and I measure So this, oh, it's 1¼ inches. That's on that. That's how far that street light is in from the edge. And this canvas is 4½ times. So watch this. So I've got, I guess I can unplug this for a second. So I've got a calculator here. 1.25 inches times 4.5, because this is 4½ times larger than that, equals 5 5/8 inches. Are you with me? So I'm going to plug this back in because that's what's playing my beautiful music. I'm loving this music, by the way. So 5 5/8 in right there. Use a yardstick. Is this making sense? Now this is going to be dreadfully boring for you guys. It's not going to be a thrill a minute. So I'm just going to let you watch me for a few minutes, do more of these. I don't have to copy everything, of course, just the major stuff. And again, why? Because I like my solutions, and if I just wing it, if you understand when you paint big, your sense of perspective, it's real easy for your sense of perspective to get really wonky fast, especially here. Like, I don't have a lot of room around me. I'll walk back frequently, but this is a case of why reinvent the wheel. You with me? It works. If I can get that image blown up, I think I'll be pretty happy. Okay, so the next thing is, I'll walk in here where you can see me. And how tall is this stoplight fixture? And the answer is here, exactly 2 inches. So I can do that in my head. 4½ times 2, 8, 9, 10. Wait a minute. 4½ times 2. Now I'm losing my nerve. 4½. Oh, that's 9 inches. That's pretty embarrassing. 4½ times 2 is 9 inches. Pay no attention to the man in the apron. And then I got one more measurement to do, and it's 7/8 of an inch wide. So come over here to my calculator again. Of course, I have to do 7/8 is 0.875. Yes, thank you very much. 875, that's 7/8 times 4.5 equals 3.9375. Just a little bit under 4 inches. Are you with me? So there we go. So that's where the traffic light goes. By the way, you'll notice I'm not using my normal jumbo jet black pencils. I will at some point, but right now I'm using plain old-fashioned Conte crayon, or a knockoff, somebody making something much like, because it makes fatter lines. Bigger painting, everything shifts. Everything shifts with a big painting, right? Now I think I can do this part by eye. So I'm looking over there at my sketch. Whoops, that line's not supposed to be there. Here, maybe I can wipe that out real fast so I don't confuse myself later. Yeah, there we go. Oh, of course, I guess it goes without saying. If I'm making this shift in my career, I'm also making a shift in prices. Right. So there's the rub. What will spell whether this is just a blip on the screen where I'm kidding myself, or whether it really is a shift. A painting this size will go for somewhere in the vicinity of $10,000. And if I can work it right, I'll do others for 15 and more. So if anybody wants to buy 2 of them, please drop me a line real quick. I'm ready to start selling these things. There's definitely one piece of this painting, I almost called it an illustration, that I definitely need to get right, and it would be easy to be fooled by it. By the way, for those of you who missed the earlier broadcast where I was doing this, this is a street corner in Flagstaff, Arizona. In fact, it's right at the corner of Route 66 and something else. I forget what the name of it is. What was I doing in Flagstaff? The answer is my son and his wife and our granddaughter live in Flagstaff. And my wife and I were out there in December. So I took a bunch of pictures, but I'm not painting this because it's Flagstaff. Do you understand? I'm just painting it because I went through all of my traffic photographs, and this is the one that I felt like doing the most. So that's all. Okay, and the sign here that says Aspen Avenue is 2 1/4 inches. Okay, so there we go with a calculator again. Here we go, 2 1/4. So that's 2.25 times 4.5 equals 10 1/8. Okay, so this sign goes right here. That's 10 1/8 inches long. And I think that I can freehand it from there. A little bit dangerous, of course, but nah, I think I can do that. All right, I think you've probably seen enough of this. I'm going to be doing this for about another 15 or 20 minutes, I would think. And I don't think you necessarily need to watch me do it. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to keep the broadcast going, but I'm going to take a break just because I feel like this is pretty boring for you. Okay? Pause. Thanks for, oh wait, let me get your chats before I go. Let me get your comments. Hang on. Thank you for, wow, a lot of chats today. Wow, wow, wow. Belated birthday, happy Valentine's Day. Hey, Paula, 2 lives in a row, yay. Good for you. And thank you for letting me know about the sound. Matt's art stuff, good to see you again. Yeah. Matt says probably a good idea to answer your wife's phone call on Valentine's Day. Whew, I'm not doing very well in the Valentine's thing. See, my birthday was yesterday, so she and I went out for a fun, nice dinner out last night. We're kind of thinking that's it. I better rethink that, shouldn't I? Thanks for reminding me. I'm a pretty good husband, and anyway, never mind. Now I'm getting defensive. Thanks for goading me onto good works. Yes, I can use my age as an excuse. Hey, Mark Toomey, good to see you again, my friend. Bonjour de France. Cyril Doom, thank you. All right, short break so I can finish this stuff. When we come back, I'll start painting using the lines that I've just drawn, okay? Thank you so much for your joining me. And again, I think I'll be back probably in 10 minutes, maybe 15. Right? I just saw your comment. If you're by any chance still listening, right, my friend. I just announced to people a few minutes ago, the only person I interrupt the broadcast for is my wife. So I love you, man, but you're not my wife. So, all right, I think I've got most of the major lines drawn in. I've got just a few that I want to do with you watching. because they're a little bit more interesting. How about that? You have to ladder. My big equipment, which some of you have seen, if you follow me a lot, I have this. This is not my big easel. I have one that's about 5 times this big, I guess. And it comes with a 30-foot tall table box that I stand on top of to reach the top of the canvas, but don't have that here. Okay, couple comments, and I don't know if you can see this. There's a little red dot right there with a circle around it. That's my vanishing point. So on a painting this size, I am actually going to literally use a physical vanishing point because, of course, I don't trust my eyeballs. That'd be crazy to trust your eyes on if you have time anyway, if you have time to work it out. So what I'm doing right here are the windows, the top and the bottom of the windows. Hang on, gotta go one more step. There we go. This is a nifty tool. I have a couple of them. It's a nice rigid piece of aluminum. Good for making long straight lines. All right, now again, I'm looking over at my reference drawing over there. My painting just went up on me. If any of you ever mess around with linear perspective, then if you've messed around enough, then you know that not the mathematical formula, the simple mathematical formulas, do not always hold true. I might be pushing the boundaries here. It's related to the question of the curvature that you see in the lens of a camera. I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not, but anyway, that curvature of the lens is related to the point at which linear perspective breaks down. You can't carry it out all the way to its logical limit to the corners, because the curvature of the plane of vision starts to kick in. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. What got me onto it is I might actually be pushing the limits, and we all will know if that's the case. We'll know it in a little while when I start to draw these windows in this case, and when I stand back, and if they just look weird, then we'll know I've overextended the simple lines of perspective anyway. And again, I don't want to get into a big lecture about linear perspective, but I'll let it go at that. All right, so I think I'm ready to do some painting. Yahoo! Finally. And I maybe should have gotten out some of my long-handled brushes, but I didn't do that. My big equipment, that is where I do 8 by 10 foot, literally, actually 7.5 by 11 foot canvases. I call it 8 by 10, but it's actually 7.5 by 11. I have brushes with brush handles that extend like to 8 feet long, and I could almost use some of those here today. Not quite 8 feet, but I could certainly use some 4-footers, but I don't have them, so I'll just make do for the moment anyway. Let's see if I can get away with just using these regular. Can I reach? Nope, I can't. Okay, well, I know, hang on just a second. I'm gonna go get a step stool. Something that I can move around a little more quickly than that step ladder. There we go. And approach my painting that way. All right. So this now corresponds to what has been my normal approach to painting most of the time recently. And I'm going to start out drawing with red, maybe with a little purple in it. So purplish red. I'm making room here for a tray. Butcher tray I want to have at my disposal here so that I can mix paints on it if I want to, mix colors on it. Spray bottle, a little bit of medium. I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm just going to spray out some paint here. By the way, this is the kind of paint that I normally use for my acrylics. I never show you that. You guys just always see it already mixed. But it's Lucas Krill Studio. So an inexpensive paint, not high in pigment, but honestly perfect for my use. And of course, I am always adding medium to it, usually a fair amount of medium too. All right, let's start painting. Yahoo! Why do I like painting large? I think the main reason is because the happy little accidents that happen on a large scale are large. The accidents are larger, more fun, more interesting, more surprising. So every artist knows that painting small is not the same as painting large. I have a number of friends who, well, I don't know that I have any friends, artist friends who enjoy painting as large as I do. Most of them are painting a very normal size paintings. And many times, some of them, they'll do a little 8x10 size or even 4x6 inch painting, something like that, or even 11x14, something fairly small. And then they'll like it and they say, "Oh, that's great. Let's do a large one." And they try to do just as I'm doing here, a large version of a smaller painting that was successful. Again, it's exactly what I'm doing here. And if any of you are artists or painters, you know probably how that goes. And the answer is, it doesn't necessarily go well. Because the incidentals, the accidentals, the happy little accidents are just so different on a large scale than on a small. that people often, make a comment when I'm out painting big, like on my 8 by 10 foot canvas, wow, how do you paint so big? Something like that, And my usual smart aleck answer is big brushes. And there's a lot of truth to that, of course. But every artist who's ever tried it knows also that that is not the whole truth. There's more to it than just big brushes. There's something else going on. So I would encourage everybody to try to paint big. It's so much fun, but it's not simple. It's sort of the heart, what's the word? The things that are difficult to measure, so to speak, to predict, that makes large paintings different from small paintings. Well, yeah, that's a pretty obvious statement, isn't it? Let me pick up some orange here now. Now, I might be kidding myself. I'm just as susceptible to lying to myself as anybody else, right? I might be kidding myself. Maybe I'm no good at large paintings, but I think I'm good at large paintings. Shh, everybody says, shh. He thinks he's good at, shh, don't burst his bubble. Whether I'm good or not, I have fun. That is true. Okay, just a word. This building right here, right at the corner, and there's a sign, one of those old-fashioned. Comes right off the corner of the building at a 45-degree angle, so it can be read from both streets, both approaches to this intersection. That's what this is up here. Big yellow sign, and it says Hotel Monte Vista. And so I've just got the word Vista, M-O-N-T-E, the bottom of the E, and then Vista down there. So the Hotel Monte Vista is probably the most famous hotel in Old Flagstaff. Again, right on Route 66. Built in the 1920s, blah, blah, fell into disrepair for some time. I don't remember exactly the details, but, kind of the typical story, if you will. And now it is reported to be haunted. So, so ghost hunters come from around the country to look for ghosts at the Hotel Monte Vista. I had a fun time the weekend we were there. I actually sat in their bar, coffee shop, lounge, right inside these doors right here, and did a fun little watercolor sketch, and entitled it Almost Haunted. gave it kind of a little bit of a haunted atmosphere. That was fun, and they were very, very kind to. I think I gave them the painting when I left, if I remember. Yeah, I did. Turned it in at the front desk, so they were quite nice about that. Said nice things to me anyway, like, well, golly, stuff like that. I was talking a few minutes ago about I think I'm good at big paintings. And if I'm not, leave me in my delusion, because I'm enjoying the illusion that I'm good at them. I should be good at them. There's really no question about that, because I have done a lot of them. I've quite an interesting history. I don't know how much to go into it, but 20 years ago, I was the leader of a ministry, I'll put it in that kind of language. We met every Saturday night in a park, outdoors, in the heart of downtown Raleigh, right in the middle of the city, 2 blocks from the Capitol building. And at each one of those meetings, gatherings. There's a lot of music, a lot of dancing, a lot of drums. And at most of them, I would do a 8 by 10 foot painting every week. Now it was, so 8 by 10 feet, that's pretty big. And I would do the whole thing in, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. On vinyl, so it was, I was using a combination of tempera and house paint, latex. Combination of tempera and latex. And in between each Saturday night meeting, I would scrub the painting off the vinyl and then use it, the same piece of vinyl, 8 by 10 foot vinyl, the next week. That was great fun. So I did that nearly 100 times. I counted up, I think I did 90 paintings in that manner. So this, before I ever really started doing 8 by 10 foot paintings on canvas, I had done nearly 100 paintings for practice, if you will, fast and on vinyl. Those were the days. It was quite the extraordinary season in our lives. It was very good. We released a lot of good energy into our city. There's a man sitting on a bench here. A little detail that I rather like. And a man here crossing the road. Definitely time for me to change color here, though. So let's get away from this, whatever that is, just for variety. That's all. I just don't want to do the whole thing in one color. That'd be a little bit boring. Now, my technique, I don't know if the word my style is exactly the way to put it. Yeah, my style evolves too. Sure, I guess that is the way to put it. But I need to check that the perspective of that. Ooh, glad I did. No. Points at my vanishing point. There we go. But my technique is always evolving. I'm always trying to, of course, get better and come up with new ways to paint. The latest development, if you watched me last week doing the skyline of Raleigh, and I posted on my YouTube channel on community. You understand, if you go to Dan the Art Man on YouTube, and if you go to my channel and click on community, that's where I post still images, photos, images of finished paintings and so forth. And the other day, Saturday I think it was, so 4 or 5 days ago, I posted my latest painting technique, approach to painting. And the latest evolution in my painting technique, the latest technique or strategy, perhaps I could say, to emerge, is this thing that I'm calling intentional messiness. Actually, I started out calling it intermittent messiness and then switched slightly to, of course it's intentional. No, I started out calling it intermittent, that's right, and then I changed it to say, no, intentional messiness. And I'm about to do that in just a minute. What that means is, basically, after every single stage or layer of the painting process, I will intentionally add some marks to the canvas that are distinctly non-representational. For instance, stuff like that. That is not supposed to represent anything. And I can do more than just that, of course. Seems to me this would be a good time for me to throw some spatter up there. Yeah, there we go. Spattering is so much fun. Be careful not to do too much of it. That's a big spatter up there. Okay, so that's intentional messiness, or intermittent. In other words, between all the other stages, make some mess of some kind. Okay, this is a good time for me to take a break. I want that to dry. I guess I've made enough mess. Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna let that dry and I'll be back, I think this time probably in 5 minutes. Let me see if any of you have left some comments. Probably you have. Nope, maybe not. Nope. At least I'm not getting them. I hope I'm not missing. Let me look again. Forgive me while I try to get this restarted. Okay, I don't see any. Take a quick break. Thank you for watching me, and I'll be back. Oh, there's a comment. What was the thinking behind the idea of using the mauve? It's basically any color, not dark, not gray, not black, something with some chroma in it, and it's very intuitive. It could be anything. I do think that I'm being influenced somewhat by the overall tonality of this painting. There's a lot of purple-ish, brown, purple, mauve-y stuff in it. So I think that's probably why I picked that. Thank you. And I see that I am getting chats, and for some reason, come on, they're not showing up here. Let's see if maybe got something now. Nope. Well, doggone. Hi, Michael. Sometimes we just, in spite of all my efforts, we get lost in the technology. All right, welcome back. I'm ready to start painting. I went up. Whoop, is my sound okay? Just disappeared. Let's see, let's make sure we got sound. Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Might be my monitor is dead. Let me switch out. Hello, hello, hello. There we go. We have sound. We do. All right. Ready to start painting. Way up here at the top. Went out to the shed. can't reach much of my stuff, my big equipment. I could reach one brush, so I went and got this brush, the mighty brush. used to be a guy on TV. In fact, he was actually the man that influenced and sort of trained Bob Ross. The mighty brush. I think he was German. I think he was of German extraction. Lived in America, but German. Mighty. His brush wasn't quite this mighty. I just spattered the ceiling. Fortunately, in an area where the ceiling has never been painted, so no great loss. Coming back down, there's some things you just can't do as quickly when you're painting this size. One of which is get from the top to the not top of the painting. several seconds of adventuring to make that. I just want to mix up a purple, so just use the phthalo blue that I already had, adding a quinacridone or magenta to it. There we go. Now get the ladder back in place. I expect this is the kind of thing that's going to keep me young. Okay? Okay. Still not high enough. Wow. There we go. You really do not want to paint in the lines, quote unquote, ever. And I have no sound for some reason. There we go, just came back. You don't want to paint in the lines ever, but especially, in my opinion, when you're painting anything nearly this large. Because, as you can imagine, it's a temptation to paint in the lines because the lines are so big. Does that make sense? The shapes are so large, and the lines between them are rather thick. So there's a tendency, at least I would think, to succumb to that temptation to paint in the lines. Do not want to do that. Terminology I like to use when I'm teaching a painting class, when I'm teaching this class, is, so now I'm putting down just a dirty purple, right? And I want to put this dirty purple in a zone, not on a shape. I don't want to color a shape. I don't want to paint discreetly. I'm just painting in the general vicinity of, in the general area of and right at the moment, by the way, I'm keenly aware of the no-tan sketch that I did. That's the little, 2-value or 3-value. That one in particular ended up being a 3-value no-tan, dark white, light gray, and dark gray, maybe some black. Anyway, I was in the course of doing that sketch, and the one that followed, I realized that I wanted to paint, that I wanted this so like a backwards L, or a letter J, if you will, here. And again, I've lost all sound. I'm not sure what's going on. See, very jittery. Is the sound okay to you guys? It may just be my in-ear monitor. Hi, David. Good to have you again on board. So, again, you don't paint in the lines. You don't color in the lines. I just want to paint general zones. I want to paint messy. I want the colors to spill out of their boundaries. As the painting proceeds, little by little by little, the boundaries, the shapes will be bounded a little bit more carefully. But especially here at the early stages. You don't want to be painting too tight. Just slap it down. Any stroke applied with this kind of enthusiasm is going to be a good-looking stroke. The number one enemy of good-looking strokes is insecurity, uncertainty. And that doesn't mean you have to be confident to paint. It means you have to fake it till you make it. Move your arm as if you were confident, no matter how your head may be feeling at the moment. Does that make sense to you? So I don't like to, you know, there are a lot of people that say, amateurs. You know, there's the kind of people that can only paint when they're in the mood. I use this joke a lot, but I'm going to use it again. Hang on. You know what we call people? You know what we call artists? Who only paint when they're in the mood? We have a name for them. You know what it is. Starving artists. And of course, not everybody who's painting is trying to make a living at it. Very few are. But there you go. Even if you're not trying to make a living at it, paint as though you were. So you do not have to wait until you are in the mood to paint. That's a waste of life. Just paint. Paint as if, make your arm move as if you were in the mood. Does that make sense? Now, let me step back here for a second and look at that. Yeah, we're getting there. It already looks like the thing. I'm being facetious a little bit. It doesn't really look very much like the thing at all. But I'm enjoying the encouragement, so that I'm giving myself. Doing some darker areas here. More purple, more purple. Don't forget to paint around the edges. It's a real pain in the neck to get way late in the painting process and then discover that you forgot to paint the edges somewhere. So, can you imagine trying to frame a painting like this? Can anybody say the word exorbitant? I mean, they do it, you know, in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam has dozens of paintings larger than this. all in big, big ornate gold frames. But that was then, this is now. Not likely to happen. It's not a great deal of taste for ornate gold frames like there was 400 years ago. All right, I'm going to call myself done with that particular layer. That means it's time for some intentional messiness. The one that comes to mind at the moment is scratching. And again, you understand, don't you? These marks have nothing whatsoever to do with similitude. These are not drawing marks. These are, well, and again, it's real easy if you feel like there's too much of it somewhere when you're scratching. Real easy just to brush over it. But don't be afraid to make marks. As long as they're pleasant marks, there's a decent chance that some of them, we don't know which ones, will look good in the finished painting. All right, I think I can go right ahead. I don't have to wait for that to dry. It's time for my first layer of white. Yeehaw! That's always particularly enjoyable to me. I'm going to put lids back on some of my paintings here. I mean, some of my jugs of paint. In spite of myself, I get the lids all mixed up, and also I'm missing one. So, oh, there it is. All right, open the white. This should be fun. I think I need a little bit more white. Hang on just a second. Again, this is the kind of acrylic I use most of the time. It serves my purposes very well. It's a brand new bottle, so I have to cut open the lid. All right. There's about $5 worth of paint, I imagine. Okay, now just to make sure, if you want to imitate or be influenced by me at all, there is no medium in the white. That would be an oxymoron. Why would you want white to be transparent? You might want it to be translucent, but to achieve that, all you do is paint thinner. All right, let me go back and see if I can get you guys chats to show up. I was having trouble with that earlier. There we go. Thank you. All right. I think I'm actually going to start with some smaller brushes. First layer of white is, for some reason, to me, is always particularly enjoyable. That almost makes sense, doesn't it? Very enjoyable. Aspen Avenue. That's a good name for a street out in the mountains, isn't it? Again, this is Flagstaff, Arizona, and Flagstaff is a mountain town. In fact, University of Northern Arizona, that's why our kids are out there. Our son works there, and our daughter-in-law teaches there. I think they're coming off a three-peat. National champions in cross country, 7,000 foot elevation. So, of course, the distance runners who train at that elevation all have a distinct advantage. So That's why they go there, so they can train at that altitude. So it's a mountain town. Most people think of Arizona, they think of Phoenix, desert, saguaro cactus, and so on and so on and so forth. But those who know, of course, the Grand Canyon is in Arizona as well. And it's slightly desert-ish, isn't it? But when you're in Flagstaff, it's lodgepole pines, ponderosa pines, big rocks, Rocky Mountain type atmosphere. Beautiful. I love the mountains. So the name of this street is Aspen Avenue, because of course there's lots of aspens up there as well. Anybody know the plural of aspens is probably without an S, I would guess. I would think aspen is probably plural, but one way, O-N-E-W-A-Y, O-N-E-W-A-Y. Close enough for now. And we're going to have a big green light right here. And a green light right here. And more often than not, I opt for red lights in my paintings. But for some reason, green just worked really well in this setting, in this context. So glad to do green lights for a change. Back to intermittent messiness. Following a white layer like this, my favorite intentional messiness, without any question, is to simply take a dry brush and run it through this white paint before it's dry. Now, catching it before it's dry, that's the problem, especially when I'm painting this size. Are my early marks getting dry? Yeah, they are. Hang on a second. Let me take a quick break. I'm going to have to get up on the ladder again to reach these. So here's what I like to do with the wet paint, with the wet white paint. I've got two brushes in this hand. Whoa, look at that. And I say this all the time, but I absolutely need to say it again. You cannot do this slowly or carefully. Absolutely. Last week I came up with a new expression. You cannot make beautiful marks with ugly movements. And far and away, the most common ugly movement is, the most common ugly movement is created because of insecurity. So you cannot do this carefully. I mean, go ahead, try it. Do an experiment. If you try to do what I'm doing right here slowly, it'll look like hilariously crappy. I mean, it'll look so bad, you will be astounded. You can't do it slowly. Well, how do I know it's going to look good? Well, generally speaking, because of this principle, that is, any stroke applied in that manner, any stroke applied with joy, confidence, boldness, joie de vivre, all that kind of stuff, is going to be a good-looking motion. No. Is any stroke, any mark applied with that is going to be a good-looking mark. And it also will be a good-looking motion, by the way. But that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is any stroke applied with all of those words, confidence, boldness, speed even, is going to be a good-looking stroke. Also, what I just did right there, going back and forth a couple times, generally speaking, you don't want to do that. You just want to go one, you don't go through it and back. You don't go, no. This is not scrubby or brushy. This is strokes that are not dictated by your bones and tendons and muscles. These are strokes that are dictated by your mind. Go up even higher. Oh yeah, let's do some of these these figures standing here. Some bigger brushes here. There we go. These are the downside here. Of course, these brushes are too large to fit into my paint pots, of course. So I have to use, put paint on them with smaller brushes. I'm going to rub that with a rag damp rag. See if I can get it to. I do like runs. I don't like quite that many runs. All right. Are we having fun yet? You betcha. Oh, my painting went up a little bit. Now, one more thing before I quit the white, and that is I'm going to come up here and do some sky holes. We were there in Flagstaff in December, so of course the trees were bare, the deciduous trees, that is. And it's fine with me. I really prefer painting trees without their leaves on them. Oh, big street light right here. I need to get that blobbed in. I call this approach to painting, as you may know, I call it blobbing in, as opposed to blocking in. This is blobbing in a painting. Okay, just a little bit more sky holes, not too many. I'll be doing layers and layers and layers of sky holes. It's just my very first quick pass, so to speak, at doing. Nice. I'm saying that to encourage myself. All right, let me look at your comments, your chats. I mean, I'm going to take a break now. Once you put white on the canvas, at least for my approach, you really do need to wait and let that dry, because if you come back with a colored glaze on top of this white, it'll just pick up the wet white, and then you're brushing opaque color. And as you know, opaque color is the enemy. Okay, comments, let's see what you're doing here. Sound is good. Thank you, Matt's art stuff. I'm using white, David Mercer. Good question. Oh, good idea. A light on the small painting. Is it even in the viewfinder? It is. That is a great idea, David. Let me see what I can do about that. I'll do that. Let's see if I can do something about that when I come back in a few minutes. Okay, so got to take a break. When I come back, I will be doing yellow and orange glazes. A lot of yellow, all down here and all down here. A little bit here, yellow, orange. And beyond that, I'm not sure. Probably after that, some with brushes, dark details, painting with brushes, drawing with brushes, I mean to say. All right, thanks for watching. Be back in probably less than 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. Whew. Been a long day. Nah, not really. I can't complain. Really. There's about 5 million jobs in the world that are way worse than this one. All right. But I am gonna have to stand on a ladder, so I'll tell you, things are getting rough. Oh, so hard. Life's so hard. So the white is mostly dry. Any of it that's wet now will just create a minor incidental, interesting texture. So I've got really very medium-sized brushes in my hands here. Not too big. 4-inch, yeah. No, a 3-inch brush. 3-inch in one hand, 4-inch in the other. So this is actually a morning scene. Now, when I took this picture, it was morning. I should have the photograph out here, and I don't have it. Am I done up here? Yeah, I think I can reach everything else from ground level. I took the picture maybe 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning, but especially with the evolution, I put a light on it over there. Good job, Good call, David. It's still really small for you guys, but that's what I'm looking at. Little painting on aluminum, where I've worked out a lot of the composition issues. While I was doing that painting right there, and this is why you do. By the way, that I was just, if you were watching earlier, I was trying to describe what do I think is going to be the difference between for me, this new season of painting and the old season. And one of the big differences I think is going to be studies, doing classic studies of a painting before I do the final thing. So that would be a huge adjustment, happy adjustment for me. I rarely do studies, but if I'm right about this shift in my career, then all that is about to change. All right, these brushes are way too small now. I wish I had another big brush, but I don't, so I'll just use a rag. If you want to cover a lot of area, many times, a rag is really the way to go. I learned that several years ago when I was doing these. There, that's as high as it goes. We're hitting the ceiling up there. When I was doing large abstract paintings, not this large, but 4 by 5 foot, I think was the largest that I did any series of. Anyway, I discovered it was much more expedited things considerably if I used a rag instead of a brush. So that was a good trick. And then brought that same trick obviously back into my representational stuff. Now I have a lot of water on these brushes, which of course acrylics don't like to be watered down that much, but I also have quite a bit of medium on the brushes too, so it's definitely a slurry of the two. Okay, I'm going to go to some smaller brushes now. Smaller 4-inch brushes. Right? How do you do big paintings? One of the real answers is big brushes. I need a little more intense orange, so I'm going to dip in a bucket here. And again, what you see me doing here is painting a zone, not painting in the lines. I just want warm orange-ish stuff down here. But yeah, you can see that is not painting in the lines, right? You savvy that, right? What time is it? Coming up on 6 o'clock where I live. Oh, I started to tell you that the photograph that I took, which I do need to get the photograph out here so that I'm not just looking at the painting, but I'm looking at the photo as well. The photograph, about 9:30, 10 in the morning, but as I did this study, the clock rolled back probably 2.5 hours, so that it's actually an early morning or twilight. Now, when I do things like that, there can develop inconsistencies. Like if it's really 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning, why are there so many cars? Why are there people? Anyway, but I don't worry about that kind of thing. That usually, I'm not going to be that picky. Of course, you don't want to leave your brushes in water. Acrylics are way harder on your brushes than oils are. Anybody who thinks that the acrylics are easy cleanup, they're just ignorant. It's acrylics that ruin your clothes and your brushes and everything. The oils are much easier to work with. All right, I'm going to do a little bit, not much. I'm going to quit here pretty soon. Right now I'm dipping some Viridian green, probably. I think it's probably Viridian green. Give a hint of it to those two go lights. They're not stop lights, they're go lights in this case, right? I think I like painting largely because there's so much room for accidental marks, incidental, accidental, interesting marks. You can still convey the image, the representational image, and yet at the same time include a fair amount of random artistic strokes. I like that. Okay, I have on my brushes now some really dark stuff at the moment. I have in my pre-mixed tubs there, I have a brown black and a blue black. Really just very dark brown and very dark blue. But really the best way to think of it is, as I said, is brown black and blue black. Right now I'm using brown black. So I'm going to do some drawing here. Sometimes people ask, oh, I thought you were painting. What's the difference between, what do you call it drawing? Well, it's because I'm using fairly small brushes, right? And thinking with the drawing side of my brain, right? A little bit linear, a little bit outline-ish. And so yeah, I call that drawing with brushes. I'm assuming y'all can hear my music tonight, which is more than normal. Just for fun, I'll tell you about it. It's something I stumbled on several weeks ago. Did a trial period, and now I'm paying $15 a month. So, you know, not real cheap as subscriptions go. And I think I'm using it the right way. I'm streaming this music, and it's all copyright available, copyright free, you know, for my $15 a month. And I spent a little bit of time in the last couple of days trying to build up my favorites list. So I'm not just, you know, it's not like Pandora. Well, it is like Pandora. You do thumbs up almost. Anyway, selecting the stuff that I really like. By the way, did you see that right there? I was doing a one-way sign. Then as soon as I finished, it's like, ooh, my brain or my hand said, tight alert, tight alarm, tight alarm. Let me zoom in so you can see that. And so I very quickly dragged my brushes through the neatness, the over neatness that I had just created. Make sense? Very pretty standard for me, standard operating procedure. I usually say I give my hands permission to have little seizures without my permission. Okay, and these are people's legs here. And a little bit of hair, I guess. Yep, some other details. There you go. Okay, so that's the beginning of those people. Do it messy, man. Do it messy. I'm going to pick up some purple with this blue-black, so I get a little bit more chroma. You know, you really want to be careful about just putting too much dark stuff on your canvas. There's a person sitting on a bench here. A little detail that I sort of like. And sort of a Range Rover type of vehicle here. In my smaller sketch and in the photograph, it does not have a spare tire, you know, container compartment on the back. But a little while ago, as I was doing the car, I thought, oh, yeah, it would look more mountaineery, more Flagstaffy if it's a Jeep or whatever. There's many kinds of vehicles, especially Jeep, but many vehicles that have that spare tire compartment on the back. So that's an addition since, added that on since. I'm going to modify. I've got a man crossing the road up here, which I like that detail, but I'm raising him up a little bit compared to the sketch that I did earlier. Cars, some parked and some driving, going off into the distance. Right here's the top of the hill. Paint the hill just a little bit. All right, now I am going to, and I'll need my step stool here, I believe. I'm going to really take my first, well, no, second, but first serious whack at this bare tree branches. Get the canvas a little bit wetter so this stuff will flow a little bit easier. Don't panic too much. I'm panicking, but don't you panic. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do here is grab a rag or two rags. And first of all, lift out the signs. But then really, oh, I do need a ladder. That's not tall enough to reach up there. I'm going to do something now that I don't normally do. It's maybe 1 out of 5 or 10 paintings that in the transparent acrylic stage of the painting process, I do introduce some opaque color. Now, opaque white, that's normal. But right now, I'm going to come up here and do some opaque blue. It's just a shortcut. The normal process up here would be, for me, would be to do white sky holes, so to speak, and then come back and do transparent blue on top of it. But every once in a while, it's kind of a shortcut. I'm in the mood to do something a little quicker than the normal. I added some opaque yellow now. Sometimes I think I'm more inclined to do this opaque color when I'm afraid I'm about to lose something, like lose some detail, forget what goes where. It's moments like that I'm a little more likely to do what I just did. That's probably enough right there. I'll be doing that tree many, many, many more times before it's over. All right, this is a good time for me to end the broadcast today. I'll look at your chats real quickly. I'll tell you where I'm going to do next, what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some drawing with either pencils, the normal Jumbo Jet Black, or Conte crayons for a little bit fatter line. I don't know which of those I'm going to do yet. And it's a little bit hard for you to see because as far back as you are. So that'll be a good thing for me to do without your company. And of course, I use the pencils for similitude, for drawing purposes. That kind of makes sense. But if you follow me often, you know the primary purpose for pencil is just the texture, the lines. It looks cool. As I normally say, the scratchy lines next to the smushy paints. I like the juxtaposition. Okay, a few more chats. Let's see what you guys are saying over here. Appreciate you taking the time to say something to me. Cruise Hawk said a while ago, watching me paint is very enjoyable. Glad to hear it, Cruise Hawk. Appreciate that. I know the glare is bad, isn't it? I've got 3 big lights on it right now. That's about all I can do. Maybe I'll see. I don't know if I can get a up light or not. That would be nice. Yeah, it is getting a little dark down here now that the sun has gone down behind me. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of work on my own here this evening and gonna call it a day pretty soon. I'm thinking. I should think on my own time, not on yours. Thanks, guys. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, comment, and share. If you don't enjoy it, please keep that to yourself. Very small brain. Enjoys the same joke over and over and over. Hey, don't bug me. At least I'm happy. Thanks for joining me.